A diplomatic earthquake just shattered decades of Western unity, and the ripple effects could reshape Middle Eastern politics forever. In a coordinated move that sent shockwaves through Washington and Tel Aviv, three of America's closest allies made history this past Sunday. The United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia simultaneously granted formal recognition to Palestine as an independent state, deliberately stepping away from their traditional lockstep with U.S. foreign policy. But here's where it gets controversial. This isn't just about diplomatic protocol. It's about these nations essentially telling both America and Israel that they've had enough. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer didn't mince words when he announced the decision. Today, to revive the hope of peace for the Palestinians and Israelis and a two-state solution, the United Kingdom formally recognizes the state of Palestine, he declared. The timing couldn't be more pointed, coming amid escalating international criticism of Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Canada broke new ground by becoming the first G7 nation to take this step. Prime Minister Mark Carney framed the recognition as essential for securing a peaceful future for both the state of Palestine and the state of Israel. Australia's Anthony Albanese quickly followed suit, formally acknowledging the independent and sovereign state of Palestine in his own statement. Now, let's be clear about what this actually means and what it doesn't. For newcomers to this complex situation, recognizing Palestine as a state is largely a symbolic gesture that enhances Palestinian diplomatic status and opens doors for international treaty negotiations. However, it doesn't magically transform the harsh realities facing Palestinians on the ground. The Gaza Strip remains a humanitarian nightmare after nearly 2 years of devastating conflict. More than 65,000 people have lost their lives since October 2023, with thousands being children, according to Palestinian health authorities. Much of the territory lies in ruins, and the majority of residents have been forced to flee their homes repeatedly, often living under famine conditions. And this is the part most people miss. While these diplomatic moves grab headlines, Israeli military operations continue unabated. Just overnight on Sunday, Israeli strikes claimed at least 34 lives in Gaza City, where hundreds of thousands of people struggle to survive amid the ongoing offensive. The backstory here is crucial for understanding why this recognition matters so much. The Palestinian state that these nations are recognizing encompasses the West Bank and Gaza Strip, with East Jerusalem designated as its capital. But here's the catch. Israel currently maintains military control over these territories, meaning the Palestinian Authority lacks full sovereignty over its own claimed land and people. The United States and Israel are furious about these developments, and they're not hiding it. American officials argue that such recognition actually empowers extremist groups and essentially rewards Hamas, the organization behind the October 7, 2023 terrorist attacks that killed approximately 1,200 Israelis and resulted in around 250 hostages being taken. But the momentum is building regardless of American objections. France is preparing to make its own recognition announcement on Monday during a United Nations conference in New York. French President Emmanuel Macron has been increasingly vocal, telling Israeli media that nations have to recognize the legitimate right of Palestinian people to have a state, while condemning Israel's renewed Gaza offensive as absolutely unacceptable and a huge mistake. Portugal confirmed it would join the recognition wave on Sunday, while Belgium, Luxembourg, and New Zealand are positioned to follow suit either before or during the UN Special Conference on the Two-State Solution. Spain, Norway, and Ireland had already recognized Palestinian statehood last year. This brings the total number of UN member states recognizing Palestine to more than 140 out of 193, meaning these Western allies are actually catching up with global opinion rather than leading it. But here's the controversial reality that nobody wants to discuss openly. Israeli authorities recently greenlit new settlement projects that ultranationalist lawmakers are celebrating as the final nail in the coffin for Palestinian statehood dreams. This creates a fascinating contradiction. As more countries recognize Palestine diplomatically, Israel appears to be making Palestinian independence practically impossible on the ground. The UK had previously issued an ultimatum in July, stating it would recognize Palestine unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza. Prime Minister Starmer's latest comments reveal the thinking behind this pressure. In the face of the growing horror in the Middle East, we are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace and of a two-state solution. That means a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable Palestinian state. At the moment, we have neither. This raises some uncomfortable questions that deserve honest discussion. Are these Western nations genuinely pursuing peace, or are they simply responding to domestic political pressure and international criticism? Is diplomatic recognition without the ability to enforce actual statehood just empty symbolism that gives false hope to Palestinians while allowing the international community to feel better about itself? Moreover, if Israel continues expanding settlements and maintaining military control over Palestinian territories, what exactly are these countries recognizing? A theoretical state that exists only on paper? The timing also raises eyebrows. Why now, after decades of maintaining alignment with U.S. policy? Is this a calculated response to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza? Or are these allies sending a broader message about American leadership in the Middle East? Perhaps most controversially, could this wave of recognition actually harm Palestinian interests by providing international leaders with a way to claim they've done something for Palestine without addressing the fundamental power imbalances and ongoing occupation? These aren't just academic questions. They go to the heart of whether diplomatic gestures can substitute for meaningful action in resolving one of the world's most intractable conflicts. What do you think? Are the UK, Canada, and Australia taking a principled stand for justice? Or are they engaging in performative politics that might actually set back genuine peace efforts? Should other U.S. allies follow suit? Or does this recognition wave risk undermining American-led diplomatic efforts? And most importantly, can symbolic recognition ever translate into real sovereignty for Palestinians? Or does it simply create dangerous illusions while the occupation continues? The answers to these questions could determine whether this diplomatic shift represents a genuine turning point toward Middle East peace, or merely another chapter in decades of well-intentioned gestures that change nothing on the ground. The world is watching, and your perspective matters in this critical moment of international relations.